Okay, we're about to start our first big program, but before we do that, I want to show you something called functions. So a function is anything that you want to use over and over again. So imagine that we had a carpet business, and what we want to do is we want to be able to ask a user how many meters wide they want their carpet and how many meters long they want their carpet, and then we'll tell them the area of the carpet that they're going to have. Okay, so I'll start over down here. I'll say, let's see, print, welcome to carpet world. And then I'll say length equals input, what is the length of your carpet? And then I will convert length to an integer. So I'll say length equals int length. And then I'll say width equals input, what is the width of your carpet? Now I also need to convert this into an integer. By the way, you can stack commands. So do you see how I did input on this line and then int on this line? I could do int here, but I actually prefer, so this actually takes the input of this and turns it into an integer. But I actually think it's clearer to break your code into multiple lines. It makes your code easier to follow, and that's always a good thing. So I'm going to do it the way I was doing it before. What is the width of your carpet? And then I'm going to say width equals int width. All right, now I want to do one more thing, which is I want to say print, you have created a carpet of, and then I'm going to say print, and now I want a function which is determine area. And I'm going to pass that function two things, length and width. Now we know that it's pretty easy to determine the area of a carpet because it would just be length times width. But let's imagine that we had a much more challenging activity. And so this is a good example. Now determine area doesn't exist. So if I were to run this thing, I would say what is the width? 34. What is the what is the length? 34. And what is the width? 12. And then it's going to give me an error because determined area is not anything. It's saying determined area is not defined. Is it a variable? What is it? What are you trying to do with this thing? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a function. So I'm going to hit def and determine area. Same as this determine area down here. And then determine area requires two things. It requires input 1 and input 2. And all it does is I need to put a colon after this, and then it indents it. And it's going to return a value. And it's going to return input 1 times input 2. The little asterisk thing is times. I think this has to be in parentheses. Not sure. All right, so let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. Whoop. What is the length of your carpet? It is 10. And what is the width? 20. You have created a carpet of 200. Square. What is the length of your carpet? Oh, I better fix this. Okay. What is the length of your carpet in meters? What is the width of your carpet in meters? You have created a carpet of print area, print meters. Okay. Oh, sorry, square meters. So what is the length of your carpet? 12. What is the width of your carpet in meters? 34. You've created a carpet of 408 square meters. So this is a function that I have created, which is how much determine area, right? So I also could create another function called determine cost. Def determine cost. And what this requires is it requires both a square meters, so it requires input 1, and cost per square meter. Okay, and what this is going to do, or actually I could do, instead of doing input 1, I'll do input 1, comma, input 2, and cost per square meter. Now what this does is it returns input 1 times input 2 times input 3. But you know what's interesting? I'm going to say that, oh, it doesn't even know what input 3 is, so it's going to say cost per square meter. Cost per square meter. Okay, so I'm going to say that if either of the lengths is greater than, if either of the measurements is greater than 10 meters, which is pretty big carpet, we're going to add a surcharge. So I'm going to say if input 1 is greater than 10, or input 2 is greater than 10, then return, but it's going to be a 50% increase times 1.5. So that's a 50% increase. Here's a comment. 50% surcharge for long measures. And I'm going to say else return input 1 times input 2 times cost per square meter. Okay. So now what I've got here with this function is it determines the cost, and it's based on how long it is. So I'm going to say you have created a carpet of, and I'm going to put this all in here, of determine area, comma, square meters, print. The cost of your carpet is, comma, and this is called determine cost, length, width, and pricing. Okay, it doesn't have to be the same variable name as up here, but I haven't defined the name pricing, so it's kind of figuring, it's going crazy on me. So I'm going to say dollars. Okay, and pricing, what is the length of your carpet in meters, what is the width of your carpet in meters, and pricing equals input. What is the cost of your carpet per square meter? All right, let's see if this thing runs. Did I make any mistakes? Welcome to Carpet World. So it is a 10-meter carpet, and it is a 10, and the cost is 1. And that made a mistake. So you have created a carpet of 100 square meters, and the cost of your carpet is a lot. So what did I do wrong here? Per square meter is 1. Cost per square meter, pricing. Oh, I know what the problem is. I forgot to turn this into an integer. So I need to say pricing equals int pricing. Let's try this again. So it is 5 meters by 5 meters by $1, and it is 25 square meters, and it's $25. We did not get a surcharge. Let's run it again. Run. The cost is 20, or the length is 20 by 20, and it is 1. So it is $600 because there's a 50% surcharge for going over the price. So what you've learned here is you've learned how to define functions. This is a function, determine area. This is a function, determine cost. And it returns these values. Pretty simple functions, but now that you've defined these functions, you can call them here. So I'm actually calling the functions, and the functions I've got are determine area and determine cost. As long as I pass them the same number of arguments that they require, it requires 2 arguments, length and width, pricing, then it's all going to work out fine, right? So we've got a function, and we've got 2 functions actually, and we've learned how to define them and use them in Carpet World. What a great place Carpet World is. I'm going to save this as Carpet World. You should create it too. Save Carpet World. Love it.